Okay, I think we're live. Yes, we are. At least I think so. I still get so nervous about this. But if you could all do me the favor, not all of you, but maybe one or two of you do me the favor of giving me that audio video check, I would very much appreciate that. Got to start off today's stream with a little bit of unfortunate news. There's going to be no Lisa here tonight. Yes, it is true that it is my birthday. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But she cannot be here with me for... okay, thank you. Audio, video, good. Thank you, Eric Furlow. Yeah, see, I can't really get on track until I get that confirmation. So thank you. Unfortunately, Lisa had a death in the family yesterday, and she was okay to do the stream, and I said, you know what, it's fine. I'm gonna have lots of fun because it is my birthday, and so I'm in a good mood, so I can handle it. I can do it without you, even though it would be a lot of fun to have her with me here today. It just, you know, it is what it is. I didn't want to force her to do that. I tell you what, if you ever want to feel loved, just have a birthday. That's all you have to do. Be somebody that's on YouTube and have a birthday, because look at this chat. I almost didn't want to say that it was my birthday today because I didn't want to feel like I was trying to get attention and all of that. But you know what? I'm a YouTuber. That's what we do for a living, is try to get attention. But anyway, the birthday wishes have been coming through basically since I started, or I set up the stream. Thank you all so much for that. 47 today, and I feel like 67. And that's one of the things, before we get into a lot of the things that I have to talk about here today. It's one of the things I wanted to gripe about a little bit. On my birthday, I'm allowed to make complaints, but listen, getting old is terrible. Like, birthdays are not a big deal. It's just another day. I mean, it's a Thursday is all it is really for me. But it's even worse when everything seems to be falling apart all the time. I am somebody that is a fully transparent person, and I am a fully accountable person. And unfortunately, I have to be a little real here with you. And it's extremely frustrating. You all, if you're following along with the streams, if you've been following along for some time, you probably remember early this year me talking about a weight loss journey. I have not left that journey. However, that journey has definitely seen some serious roadblocks. I make the joke all the time that it seems like every time I want to get myself into shape, because that's really more what it's about now. It's not necessarily losing weight. It's not really for vanity, even though, I mean, I don't want to embarrass Lisa, but it's more about feeling better, health, all of that. My health is fine. However, every single time I go on to a workout routine, I get hurt every single time. And it's getting old. No pun intended. It is getting so old. What I like to do, what I've done my entire life when I am out of shape, which I've been up and down my whole life, I run. That's what I like to do. Even though I hate running, I like to run to lose weight, if that makes sense. And it seems like for the last several years, every time I try that, I end up getting hurt. Whether it's ankles or hips or knees, it's something from the waist down, and it is so frustrating. This happened to me right now. I'm actually going through this. I decided I wanted to try something new. I signed up for and paid for the app Couch to 5K. I've had so many people refer me to that. I've seen so many good reviews for it. I signed up for it, started it, and it was so much fun. And boom, what happens? I can barely walk because of my knees. It's getting old, folks, and I'm tired of it. And I'm sorry. I just had to rant there. I got to figure out a way to do my exercises without hurting my knees. This is what years of basketball and skateboarding will do to you. When you're 47, you will regret all of those things. That's what's happening to me right now. But other than that, everything feels great. I'm the luckiest man alive. I just got married 2 weeks ago. It's a beautiful thing. It's my birthday. Life is great. I just wish my knees didn't hurt. I've said it a million times. If you are somebody who is 39 or younger, beware. Because as soon as that clock turns and your age starts with a 4, things start falling apart. And it's terrible. Believe me, they haven't stopped falling apart ever since, and it's been officially 7 years now for me. But anyway, thank you all so much for the birthday wishes. Let me get through these real quick just because it's the appropriate thing to do. Rhiannon Aitken, Furloughs Aquatics, calling me a big jerk. How dare you? Melissa Jeswald, and Liz. I'm going to say Liz because I still haven't figured out how to say that name. Everybody wishing happy birthdays, and Furlough calling me a jerk. And David Martin, thank you so much for the celebratory pair. That is all very generous of all of you. Thank you all so much for that. Got to talk about a couple of things here real quick. I already mentioned Lisa not with us. Well, I didn't mean for it to sound that way. Not on the stream tonight, but you might be looking at the camera or the image right now, and you might be thinking, something looks weird. Something is off. Something doesn't look right. And you wouldn't be wrong. First of all, it's me on the camera. Second of all, if you see the tank behind me, it looks very dark, and it looks like there's some new stuff going on in there. Well, yes, there is. I put the driftwood, the gigantic chunks of Malaysian driftwood that we bought, and 2 large pieces of eucalyptus root. I put those in there yesterday after soaking them for 3 weeks, and they're still floating. So this piece right behind my big fat head, this piece here, you can't even see it because it's so dark. It's blocking the lights. That's why it looks so dark back there. It's literally this high off of the aquarium floor. Like everything from here down, there's nothing there. You can see the baseball game right now, but there's nothing there. It is floating up at the top, and it's resting. It's the aquarium lids that are keeping it down. Super frustrating. This one is actually bigger. It's longer, and it's a magnificent piece of driftwood. It's going to be unbelievable. If you see these 2 little legs right here, 2 little branches, if you will, those are actually resting up against the frame of the aquarium, which is keeping it down. So the reason why it looks as dark as it does is because the wood is all floating and blocking the lights. I soaked it for 3 weeks. I put it in a giant tote, like what you would use for a trash can. The trash cans on wheels that you wheel out to the curb and set out for the trash man that have the big opening lids on them. We have one of those that we bought a long time ago, and it sat. All of them sat in there for 3 weeks, soaking. And I would go out there every few days and basically put the hose in it and just let it run so that it would cycle out all of the tannins and all of that kind of stuff, and to get that out of there, but also to soak them so that they would get waterlogged and not float. But didn't work after 3 weeks, and I'm convinced that I am cursed, because only true KG Tropicals fans will remember this. It wasn't 4 or 5 weeks ago. Somebody asked in the chat of one of these live streams, I've had driftwood soaking for 4 months and it's still floating. Any suggestions? And I said, it's not gonna, no way. 4 months? Come on. There's no way it's still floating. And immediately after saying that, as a matter of fact, that might have even happened the day Lisa bought those pieces of driftwood for me. I started soaking them, and I am now dealing with the repercussions of what I said because mine are doing the same thing. I don't know what I'm going to do about it other than just leave it and just let it finally do its thing. I suppose there's the possibility that there might be little hollow areas in there. If it goes another couple weeks and they're still aggressively floating, like when I say aggressively, if I push them down and then just let them go, they would blast right out of the tank. I mean, that's how, like, they do not want to be under that water right now. If it stays that bad after a couple of weeks, I'll end up drilling some holes through it and maybe be able to access whatever air pocket there is in there or something like that and get that full of water and then we'll be good to go. We'll have to see. And I see Zen Ginger's actually suggesting that right now. Yeah, I mean, that's really the only thing that I could do at this point. The weird thing is it's the one that's behind my head here. It's really cratery. Like there's a lot of nooks and little crevices and all kinds of things. I don't know how there would be some spot that is hollow in there, but who knows? I mean, I'm not going to cut the thing open, but drilling some holes into it is something that I could certainly do. The only thing, and this is a perfect segue into the frustrations of fish keeping. A project like that, though fun, is very frustrating. Now, I'm in a garage, which is nice because I really don't have to worry about water getting on the floor and things like that. But I still kind of do because I have rugs in here for not only foot comfort, but also to keep down on the dreaded E word, if you know which one I mean. So I try not to get water all over the place, and you can't pull out a 36-inch round piece of driftwood and not get water all over the place. And yesterday was the same thing. You know, I got to take all the lids off, got to put those somewhere without them dripping water everywhere. It's a whole thing to be able to get into there. And so I really don't want to do that. Obviously, I'm not going to drill the pieces of wood while they're still in the tank because then all the little particles and all that kind of stuff, what a hassle that would be. So I'm going to have to pull them out and take them outside and drill them. What a huge pain that's going to be. But if that's what I got to do, that's what I got to do. I just really hope I don't have to. But we'll have to see, I guess. So as you see, the beautiful decor for today is all of the cards that I've received over the last couple of days. Birthday cards as well as Father's Day cards. This is one of the benefits to having a birthday in late June. Your birthday is always right around Father's Day. So it's kind of like my best week because I get spoiled on Father's Day and then I will get spoiled again on my birthday. It's a beautiful thing. Wow. She's my wife now. Still haven't figured out how to say her name. Lisa bought me the best gift that a person could buy me. She got me tickets to a Nats game coming up in July, and it is a bobblehead game. So you know that is a win-win for me. It's a Friday night game, which is awesome. And yeah, we're going to be able to have ourselves a date and go up there, just the two of us, which we haven't done in a while. Just her and I. There's always kids with us, which is, we're parents. That's what we do. That's not a complaint, but it's going to be fun to be able to go up there, just her and I. And yeah, there you go. It'll be a great time. And I get 2 bobbleheads because everybody with a ticket gets one. It is the Victor Robles bobblehead day. So really excited about that. So another bobblehead game coming up on Monday that I haven't gotten tickets to yet, but I'm getting them and I'm going to be there because you know I am not going to miss a bobblehead game. I see someone in the chat right now, and I apologize, folks. Y'all understand that it's difficult for me to address every single person that's in the chat, but there is someone in there that we all need to say hello to. Her name is Deborah Querin. That's my sister, and very, very cool. She's been in here before. She's talked about watching this before, and I never get to actually see her in the chat, so that's very cool. Thank you, sis, for coming by. Now I'm intimidated. Now I feel like I got to really put on a good show because my big sister's watching. But anyway, So many birthday wishes. Y'all are the best. I don't even know how. I don't even know. It's hard. I wish I could go through and I could say thank you to every single person that is saying happy birthday. Just to all of you, thank you. And for people saying hi to my sister, she goes by Debbie, so let's call her Debbie. At least that's what I've called her for 47 years. But anyway, now I'm all off track. The whole thing with getting water everywhere is something that I did not have planned for my first frustration with fish keeping. This is a topic I thought of literally 2 hours ago because, we kind of made the decision that Lisa wasn't going to be in here with me tonight. So I had to think of something on the fly. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to talk about how frustrating this hobby can be for all of us, because it definitely can be. As much as we love it, as much as this has been impactful for our lives. I talk to so many people all the time that talk about how this has literally saved their life. There's people that have talked about that on YouTube. You hear that story all too often where people say, they were maybe battling depression, or I've talked to people that were suicidal that have emailed me and said, you are part of what helped get me through that. It's something I will absolutely never forget. It happened on a live stream. In fact, if I'm asked to do a talk again at one of these events, like maybe you weren't aware, Lisa and I did one in Orlando a couple of weeks ago at Aquashella. It was a highlight moment for me in my life. It was the realization of a lifelong dream for me. I loved it. It was wonderful. Had a great time. I'm not going to ask around, hey, you want me to do a talk? Even though there were 3 different people that came to me after that and said, hey, can we get you to come to our club and talk? But anyway, I don't know if they're going to ask me to do another talk or us to do another talk at Aquashella, but I hope they do, because I have a plan to do my original idea for a talk, which was talking about how impactful this hobby can be on people's lives. And I want to, I hope this wouldn't offend anyone, especially my sister's watching, and she's a preacher's wife. She's a pastor's wife. I hope that this little play on words would not offend anybody, but I want to title the talk, The Religion of Fish Keeping. And that's not meant to be a dig at religion, not at all, but more, that's how impactful this lifestyle that we live is on so many people. That if you think about it, it takes over our lives, and it's the thing that we live and breathe by, like you would religion. So I don't know if I'm going to use that. I kind of want to get some feelers out there and see what people think. I've had a couple of people say, I don't know. There might be some people that would be offended by it. I know for a fact that if they were to come to the talk and hear what I had to say, they would take no offense to why I titled it The Religion of Fish Keeping. But I could see, just seeing that, like, the religion of it, how dare he call it that? I could see some people being offended. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I just think it's the perfect title for a talk, because it's true. I mean, if you think about how impactful this is, you could certainly call it that. And there are so many people that they live their life as if this hobby is their religion. And if you think about what religion does for people, it gets them through tough times. It brings them into a community. It gives them hope. All the same things that fish keeping does. I'm not comparing fish keeping to religion. I mean, come on, I'm not an idiot, but the impact that it has on people's lives, I would definitely make that comparison. But anyway, I've talked way too much about that. This hobby is what probably most of us would describe as incredibly impactful on our lives. But it's also extremely frustrating. And there's so many things about it that are frustrating. And we can be honest with each other, right? I mean, we love this hobby. I make my living talking to you about how much I love this hobby. But it can be frustrating. It can be frustrating for all of us. And what I'd like to do, oh, good. She just said no offense taken. She understands what I mean. You know what? I don't need anybody else's approval. If Debbie says it's okay, then it's okay. Yeah, there you go. So I don't need any more approval for that. But what I'd like, folks, is for you in the chat. I want this to be between us. I don't want this to just be me talking the whole time, even though you know daggone well I could do that. I could talk for a solid hour and a half without even stopping. But I want your input on this in the chat. Let me know the things. I see a lot of people talking about what I was just talking about, and that's awesome. Keep doing that. Talking about how impactful this hobby is. I don't know why I'm doing all of this, but anyway. What I want you to do is let's all be honest with each other. And I want you to put in the chat some things that frustrate you about this hobby. I ate dinner very recently. I'm sorry. It's happening. Do you like my birthday boy pin? That was a gift from my officially stepdaughter now. I've always called her that, but she's officially that now, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. She brought me like a whole basket full of stuff today, but I decided to wear the birthday boy ribbon for the stream. Anyway, let me know in there what are some things that frustrate you about this hobby, because I know they're out there. And I'm going to give you a couple of things that frustrate me, and it might be coming from a different angle than you might think it's coming from, because there's the automatic things. There's fish death. The fish dies. You're losing a pet. Of course, that is devastating. I don't know. Things like I had a tank burst in my house, and that's all obvious. Of course, that would be frustrating for anybody, but I wanted to bring up some things that frustrate me and, maybe give a different angle, give you something to think about, but put them in yours. Folks, you do not have to super chat to take part in this, please. You absolutely do not. There are so many people that are being so generous, and I don't even know what to say about that. It's an incredible thing. I will absolutely get to those, I promise, but I'm going to be looking as good as I can at the chat while I'm talking about this. It does not have to be, it doesn't have to be through a super chat. The first thing that frustrates me, and you have to be in the same situation as me. Lisa and I have been together for 12 years, and we have never, in the time that her and I have been together, we have never owned our home. We've been renting the whole time. That's going to change soon. It's going to change soon. As soon as this market calms down, geez. But that's going to change soon. And Debbie, you might have us living even closer to you. You never know. She lives in Virginia also, but a few hours away. And we might be going out that way. I don't know, because stuff around here is way too expensive. But we've always rented. And anybody that is in the chat right now that is also a renter, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is difficult because if one drop of water gets on the floor, you're like, oh no, this isn't my house. I don't want to get water damage. That is so frustrating. In fact, in this house, we've been very particular about where we put aquariums and where we don't, because our house is entirely hardwood floors. The whole thing, except for the kitchen and the basement. And so we don't have fish tanks in any of those areas. There's a couple of little teeny ones, but they're not that big of a deal. But, I've got, how many gallons do I have out here? Like 600 gallons out here in this garage, and that's fine. We've still got the 240 and the beta room down in the basement. I don't want water to get on the floor down there either. I don't want there to be any, major floods down there either. But it's a tile floor down there. So it's not as much of a concern as if a tank were to overflow on a hardwood floor. You're doomed. I mean, and when it's not your house, that's incredibly frustrating. Melissa Jeswald says, I spent $600 from a fish tank leak in my rental. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That is so scary. And for us, we try to avoid that by just not having aquariums on the wood floors. But there's a 240-gallon tank sitting down in our basement, along with two 125s, a 75, and 400, if not more, probably 500 beta tanks down there, which are all little. You know, one of them spills over, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But if something catastrophic were to happen and they all, you know what I'm saying, that we've got a lot of tanks down there on that ceramic tile floor, a lot of opportunity for disaster. Now, of course, we're very careful and nothing's going to happen. And if something did happen, we would take care of it and nobody would even know about it. But I'm just saying that is so frustrating. Renter's insurance. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Renter's insurance usually is not going to cover negligence. And if you have an aquarium explode, I don't know. I've never had to file a claim with renter's insurance, so I don't really know. But an aquarium leak might not be something that they would cover. But again, I don't know. Maybe there's a special clause that you could put in there to cover that. But that's something. And it's not only the floors. I mean, if you think about just moisture damage and carrying buckets through the house or whatever it is that you're doing, that's a scary thing to me. And that's something that's always bothered me. And I'm going to be honest, as much as I love doing what we do, there's always been that little bit of tension with this hobby. Like, as far as in the time Lisa and I have been together, I mean, years and years and years ago, before I even knew there was such thing as Lisa Conroy, I had aquariums and I owned the house, and that was different. But now, you know, for the last 12 years, there's always been that slight little bit of tension, knowing that if something happens, I'm going to be hurting. But I am somebody that, you know, if there's a problem, I'm going to take care of it, and I'm not going to have any complaints. we're going to fix, if we mess something up, we're going to fix it. But boy, that could be awfully expensive. So that's one of those things that, okay, yeah, there was another angle to that. I was looking at my notes here. That's one of those things that has always created that little bit of tension for me, and always been very frustrating for me. I cannot wait until we, yes, Lisa Hudson now, Zen Ginger, cannot wait till we buy something. That tension will be instantly removed. I think we've done a good job in this house of making sure that if there ever was any issues, there would not be any damage to the house. So I'm happy about that, but it's still there. And the other thing that's there is nobody, and I mean nobody. I've never met people. I've met a lot of people in my life. I've never met somebody that enjoys moving fish tanks. I certainly don't. It's incredibly stressful. If it's above a 75-gallon aquarium, it is stressful. It's stressful not only for the weight, but usually you're dealing with either a whole bunch of fish or a couple of big fish. How fun is it going to be for me to move that tank? That is hard enough. But I'm not getting ready to tell you that moving aquariums is frustrating. I was going somewhere with that. The frustrating thing for me is aquariums not being in their permanent home. Think about that. If we're going to buy a place, we might buy this house. We might do other things. We don't know for sure. If we buy this house, then these tanks have been in their permanent homes for a while, but we don't know what's going to happen with that yet. And because we don't know that, I've never really been able to settle in. I know what you're thinking. John, you've moved tanks, and Lisa's probably rolling her eyes right now. I mean, you put all of your tanks down here, and then you move them all down in the basement, and then you move them all back up here. You're moving tanks all the time voluntarily. Yes, that's true. We had our reasons for doing that, and they were very good reasons. But it's hard with these tanks not being in their permanent home, knowing I'm going to have to move them again. I don't like moving tanks. It's no fun, especially tanks that weigh 750 pounds with nothing in them. And then steel stands that they're sitting on that weigh about as much as the tank does. Nobody enjoys doing that. I don't care if it's an Olympic weightlifter. They're not going to enjoy moving something like this. It's way too stressful. These are big fish. If this tank was to end up on the floor, where am I going to put all of those fish? Lisa is going to end up losing one of her 125s. Actually, I can't say that. I've got two 240s. I'd have to figure something out. But how stressed out am I going to be when it comes time to moving that tank? As a matter of fact, I'm going to take that back. This one I'll probably have the least amount of stress because we'll just slide it right onto the truck. But the two 240s, taking that 240 up from the basement, that's going to be frustrating. That's going to be stressful. I'm not going to enjoy a single minute of that whole process. I would love for these aquariums to be in their permanent homes. And that's one of the things that Lisa and I have talked about. Whatever our next thing is going to be, whether we're buying this house or we buy somewhere else, whatever it is that we end up doing, it has to be right. And that's hard because you got to be patient. And I don't like being patient at all. But waiting for the right place to come on the market that is in the right location, that's close to a post office and close to UPS and Home Depot or Lowe's. I'm not particular on either one. It's fine with me. Close to shopping and close to all of these things, but also, 5 acres or so. Finding that right place is going to be very, very difficult, but it also has to be right for our business. And when I talk about business, I'm not necessarily talking about YouTube. I kind of feel like we could make the YouTube work wherever we are. Like, put me in a 1-car garage, I'll make it work. But with the business, that's a completely different story. The fantasies that we have is a room maybe a little bit larger than this. I'm in a 2-car garage right now. Maybe a little bit larger so that we can incorporate all of our hobby tanks. Lisa's 2 125s and her 75, the 2 240s, this big fella here, and all. So it needs to be a little bit bigger than this room, and put the tanks in there and never remove them. That's what I would absolutely love to be able to do. And I don't think I can express how big of a deal that's going to be for me. Putting them in there knowing I'm not going to have to move them unless we choose to. We could probably rent this house for the rest of our lives. So technically I'm choosing if we move it, whatever. We don't even know what we're going to do, but I'd love to be able to put them in a spot and say that tank is going there and that's where it's going to stay forever. That would be such a big deal for me. I'll probably cry when that happens because I've never known how it felt to have that. When we started our business, 2011, and you go back and you look at the very first videos that we ever did, that garage that we had our tanks set up in, that was a rental house too. And thankfully, we moved all of them out of there and we opened up our shop, which turned out to be a not so thankful thing. But when we had our shop and, we were going through that whole thing, the owner of that house that we originally started our business in called us up and said, hey, guess what? You didn't even know the house was on the market, but it was on the market and it sold and y'all got 30 days. Beat it. What would we have done if we had all of the tanks in there? That would have been very scary because now we're trying to find a place to hold 120 aquariums and all of that. That would have been a complete disaster. So it's taken me 20 minutes to say, this hobby is not as fun if you are a renter, wherever you are. If you are somebody that's renting, I'm sure you can sympathize, or that's not sympathize, that's empathize, right? Because you feel it too, right? I don't know. I was absent the day they taught that in elementary school, but it's a frustrating thing. It's been one of those things that's never held me back. Obviously, it's never held me back from doing what I want to do, but it's very frustrating, and I'll be very thrilled when it's time to put these things in their permanent homes or keep them in their permanent homes, if that's making sense. So, what do we have here? Okay. The next thing, and this is going a little bit deep here, but it's my birthday, so I'm allowed to talk about whatever I want to talk about. I was having a lot of frustration with myself with YouTube. It's not YouTube's fault. It's not y'all's fault. It's not anybody's fault but mine. It was an epiphany that I had quite some time ago. And in fact, it was while I was on my break, because before my break, I would do things specifically for what I thought would do well on YouTube. If you are a YouTuber, I know there's a lot of YouTubers that watch this. You're probably nodding your head right now like, yep, I get it. I've either been that way or I am that way right now. There's nothing wrong with being that way. For crying out loud, if you have a YouTube channel and you're trying to grow your channel and you want to be the next viral sensation, you're going to try to do things on your channel that are going to get views, right? I mean, that is what it is. Now, I'm not trying to say I don't care about views. I don't care about... Anybody who tells you that is a bold-faced liar. No, I certainly care about how our channel does, and I want to provide you with good information and blah, 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 blah. But what I don't want to do is something that is intentional to get views to my channel. An example would be if I got those fish because I thought I would get a lot of views on YouTube, that felt dirty to me. Now, again, if anybody else is doing that, I'm not saying it's wrong. What I'm saying is it felt wrong for me, because if I'm doing that, I don't have an emotional attachment to those fish. My heart was almost broken yesterday because I was looking in my yellow lab tank, which you can't see because Lisa's not here, and I couldn't find Dude. If this is maybe your first stream, we don't have as many people in here as we usually do, so it's unlikely that this is your first time watching these stream. It's probably, you're probably all people that are regularly with me. When you put a thumbnail out that has a bunch of old people on it and me holding balloons celebrating my birthday, I can understand why a lot of people wouldn't want to watch that. But I was looking in that tank. Dude we got 60 yellow labs from Florida Exotic Fish Sales for my 240 that sits behind Lisa in these streams. I don't have her camera set up or else I would show you the tank. But one of those fish was a little baby. He was a teeny tiny baby. And I don't know why my wife's brain works the way it does, but she instantaneously said that fish's name is Dude. And so he's been Dude from that point on. I was looking in that tank yesterday and I got very sad because I thought, these fish have grown so much and Dude has grown so much that the inevitable has happened. I cannot decipher which fish is Dude anymore because he's not the teeniest, tiniest fish in the tank. And I got so sad because I have that, as silly as it sounds, that emotional attachment to that particular fish. And then I found him and everything was okay. He's still smaller than everybody else and it's noticeably smaller, but he's way bigger than he was when we got him. I mean, he was a fry when we got him. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. All of the fish that I have right now, the fish in here, my little Congos, Scott, my king beta, the yellow labs, the goldfish, I have an attachment to these fish. The goldfish I have, which I don't think have ever seen, Lisa bought those for me as gifts. One of them she bought me because I was having a really bad day and she bought me a goldfish to cheer me up. And the others, I don't remember what the occasion was, or she might have just bought them for me because she's a great person. I don't know. But there's the attachment to those fish for that reason. Obviously, y'all know the Oscars, they're a big deal to me. The Severums. But what am I getting at here? I had this realization, and it was very frustrating to me to do things not because I wanted to, but because I felt like I needed to. And I eliminated that. I eliminated it completely, and I said, you know what? I'm going to do what I want to do, and people on YouTube are either going to like it or they're not. This is why you saw in 2019, Dude became a man. Yes. or a woman. I don't know. Still not quite big enough for me to be able to determine sex. But, you know, dude can identify whatever he wants. But where was I going? Thanks, Mike. Where was I going with that? I wanted to do what was going to make me happy, and it would either translate or not. You saw that back in 2019, a lot of our main content, like the Sunday videos that we do, a lot of those are in front of a green screen. And that's because we would be talking about things that we don't have. And so I can't stand in front of a tank full of whatever tetras if I don't have those. So using the green screen was a way to kind of get around that. And we just stuck with that. And now most of the time when you see us in front of the green screen, we don't even have an aquarium behind us. It's just a pretty wall or some plants or whatever. It's worked out well for us, and that's great. But I made that decision early on when we started doing those top 10 videos, because I said, hey, I'm not going to have all of the things that we need to talk about, and I'm certainly not going to go buy them just for these videos. So we'll figure out another way. And so I figured it out by using B-roll of those fish. I made that decision that whether people on YouTube like it or not, I'm going to have the fish that I want, because that's what's going to make me happy. And my thought was, of course people are going to like that, because that's me being 100% real. I'm not faking it like I like something when in reality I only got it to get views on my YouTube channel. Now, I want to be very clear. I am not saying this as if I'm like trying to call other people out, or I'm pointing fingers that other people have done this. I cannot think of examples of people that have done this. What I know is that it was a thought that I had, and I hated that because it's not fair for the fish. I know how cheesy that sounds, but it's not fair for the fish. It's not fair for anybody involved. So why not get what I love? But I'm not saying others are doing that. Others have done that. I don't play games here. I'm speaking for myself. I'm not talking about anybody else. I haven't looked in the chat in a while, but I can see it in my head. There's probably people that have said, well, this guy did this. I don't care about all that. I'm talking about me. That was huge for me. If you don't have a YouTube channel, you might not understand where I'm going with that. But that was huge for me, because what it did was it took the work out of it, and it made this back to being what I love. And there's nothing better than that. If you would have said to somebody, I don't know, there's others that have done it. I'm not going to act like I'm the first person that has Oscars in a tank behind me. But I never had the conversation with anybody, because I was not about to ask anybody's permission to get Oscars in a big giant tank behind me. But I know for a fact, I mean, there's people that are even friends of mine that were like, he's going to put Oscars in that tank? I mean, what a waste. There's so many better fish that you can put in there. Well, guess what? That's what's better for me. And I love that. And it's completely changed the game for me, because I'm back to doing what I love to do, and I can share it with you. And then it's much more genuine. It's not me putting on a show. So that was something that it was a frustration for me. And I think it can translate to people who are not YouTubers. You might get something simply because it's popular. But if your heart's not in it, if it's not going to make you happy, why are you wasting your time, and why are you wasting that fish's life? You're just going to end up taking it back to the pet store or letting it go or whatever. I mean, don't do that. But you understand what I'm saying. That's a thing. Paige Saunders says, or no, that wasn't you. Sorry, Paige. You said, okay, you were thanking somebody. Okay, whatever. I looked at the wrong person. Rhiannon Aitken said, I love Oscars. Yeah, I love them too. And you know what? When I see channels like Multi-Tank Addiction and Daniken Aquatics, and I see Oscars featured in their videos, it makes me so happy. They're not doing that because of anything to do with me. It just makes me happy because I can remember a day when Oscars are fish that would get you made fun of on this platform right here. And I was actually wearing, I see the Furlough said, if you don't like Oscars, I was wearing that shirt today. I decided to take it off for the stream because I wanted my happy birthday boy pin. But I was wearing that shirt today. And that is the way I feel about it. But it makes me so happy to see that. It makes me happy to see people do fish that maybe aren't the most popular fish in the hobby. Because that's them basically doing the exact same thing that I'm doing. It's about what you love. It's about what puts that smile on your face and takes it from being something that's frustrating to being something that brings you that joy. The yellow labs is the same thing. You know how many people messaged me? And this is true. I'm not going to give you names because I'm not that guy, but the people that messaged me and said, are you seriously getting a $5,000 aquarium and filling it full of $4 yellow labs? I said, yep, that's what I'm doing. Why? Because I don't care how you feel about it. I'm doing it because it makes me happy. And believe me, I stare at that tank all day long because it's right behind my computer. And it's a beautiful thing to see all of those bright yellow fish with little dude in there. It's a beautiful thing. It makes me happy. It makes Lisa happy. Her discus make her happy. Her betas, all of the things that she has downstairs make her happy. That is what it's all about. I feel like this might be something that really only pertains to people that are putting themselves out there through social media, which is almost everybody on earth right now. But it's, if you can't relate, I apologize. But hopefully hopefully I've been clear about what I'm trying to get through there. It's changed the hobby for me. It was frustrating for me. I didn't know it was frustrating for me. I didn't know it was frustrating until I changed my mind. And then it was like, oh, light bulb moment. And it's been a game changer for me ever since. And I can't wait to figure out what tank is next where I can put some obscure fish in that nobody likes. You know how many people talk badly about Oscars? Oh boy, Bob Steenfott, I'm talking to you. Bob Steenfott hates everything that I love. And it breaks my heart. I call that guy a friend. I don't know why, but he hates Chihuahuas. He hates everything that I love. But anyway, I've got a few more things here, but I've been going nonstop. I want to see, I see people asking questions. I'm not being a jerk. I am not going to answer. What I want to do is go through some of the things that you have shared about the frustrations with this hobby, because that's what we're talking about. The fish stand out so much more with the driftwood. That's not a frustration. Yeah, they do. And it's only because it is so dark in there and the fish are coming to the front. It makes them stand out. That tank is going to look spectacular when that driftwood sinks. It's going to be amazing because those are two of the prettiest pieces of driftwood I've ever seen in my life. And I've got them in there with two big pieces of eucalyptus root. There's one huge positive that has happened, and I can't see him. Well, he's right there, but the vampire pleco is out now. You can see him, and he's glorious. He's about 7 inches long now. He's beautiful. She, I don't know. And now he can't hide underneath that big log anymore. He's going to find other places to hide, but that is the most inactive fish I have ever seen in my life. That fish sat in one spot when I had that Universal Rocks log in there and never moved, ever. And when I put him in there, he attached himself to one of the pieces of eucalyptus root, and he hasn't moved from that spot either. But he is alive. I actually had to pop him off of that piece of Universal Rocks wood. Literally, it made that sound when I pulled him off to put him into here, and he immediately went down and attached himself to another spot. It's just an extraordinarily lazy fish. There's something frustrating for you. Fish that don't do anything. That's frustrating. The bikers that I have in here, you can see the Endlicheri here. He's all over the place, nonstop. You're going to see him. He's up and down and all around. He goes up and takes little gulps of air, and he's swimming around. And it's funny because he gets in there and mingles with the Oscars. The other one, the Lepredi, is an incredible fish, but about 1/3 as active. I don't know. I mean, it's sitting over there. They kind of wrestle every once in a while. When there's food, they kind of, it's adorable. I love those fish so much. But anyway, we're supposed to be looking for things that are frustrating to you. And I don't know. I've unsubscribed from a couple channels that are take or bad about gaslighting. Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, that's a whole other thing. But I get what you're saying. MNC Aquatics, there's been, Primetime Aquatics said, Oscar's rule. He knows what's up. This is why Jason and I are friends. But, yeah, you know what? MNC Aquatics, there's been some drama lately, and it's unfortunate. But I just do my best to stay away from that. You can't completely stay away from it, but it's the only way I don't have an immense level of frustration with it is if I stay away from it. But I know what you mean with what you said. Deborah Quaren says, authentic is great, John. Yeah, of course I'm going to read my sister's comments. You think I wouldn't? But yes, thank you, big sis. That's what I try to do here. I feel like you are real. I hate when people are fake. Listen, I want to see, that's not frustrating to you. I want to see what is frustrating to all of you because that's what this conversation is about. Thank you so much for that. I didn't even, Jesse Silva, thank you for that. But I want to find things that people are frustrated with, and maybe I can talk them through it. Did you name the bikers? Not yet. Lisa claims to have named them. I don't like her names, though. What was it? 2 ridiculous names. I love that woman, but they were terrible names that she came up with. And they were female names. They're males. I'm not going to do that. I just brought a Dragon Blood Alana Cara. He's my biggest fish purchase yet as far as price. That's not frustrating. That's happy. This is what happens when you are alone and you have to comb through the chat. It's impossible to know which ones are people that are frustrated. Oh, look, I'm getting a notification from Couch to 5K. Thanks. Look at this dude. Just look at him. He's so big. Just look at the dude. I know what you did there, that little Ed Bassmaster reference. I know Ed Bass. I don't know him, but I know that channel. I wish I knew him because that guy is awesome. I love hearing you say my wife. Yeah, I'm still getting used to that. It's fun. I actually didn't go until I think yesterday. I realized on the About Us page on our website, it still said John Hudson, Lisa Conroy. When we ship fish, we shipped a bunch of fish this week. I include acclimation instructions in there, and it has our signatures on the bottom, and it was Lisa Conroy. Had to get that switched. Still figuring all of these things out. It's been a long time for me. What's yours say? Dude. What's mine say? Sweet. Yep, I remember that movie. Dude, where's my car? Love that. I love that Ashton Kutcher. But as soon as I start talking movies, people get really, really mad. So here we go, because it's got the word in it. I don't know what this says. I'm reading it with you. What frustrates me is tank size. The tank is never big enough for what I want and all the fish I want to fill into it. That is probably the most frustrating thing that we all go through. And that's part of being in this hobby, because I mean, we've walked through when we were very early on in this, and I was just bringing Lisa into this hobby, or she was just getting into the hobby. We would walk through the fish stores and she would be like, oh, I like that one. I'd be like, nope. I like that one. Nope. Because we didn't have tanks that could accommodate those fish. And that was very, very frustrating for her. But yeah, I mean, that's something that happens to all of us. I mean, I would love to be the guy. Well, I wouldn't be the only guy, because there's a lot of people that have them, but I'd love to be a guy on YouTube that has my own Arapaima. I know there's a couple other YouTube channels that have them, and they're doing right by them. But I'd love to be that guy. How's that ever going to happen? First thing I would have to do is get rich. And second thing I would have to do is build an aquarium the size of a house, or buy a house that has a pool and make that pool into a pond. Don't think for a second that I haven't looked for that kind of a thing. We actually saw one house that had an old pool in the back, and it didn't look so good. And it was actually written in the description of the house, you know, pool needs work. I said, no, it don't. Nope, it needs that chlorine taken out of there, and we need to turn that water green, and we need to get some real fish going on in there. We don't have little kids anymore. We don't need a pool. We're not going to look for a house with a pool, but if one has one, a very good chance we might end up putting some big old fish in there. If Lisa's watching this, she's probably like, what? Audra Meyer hates duckweed. That is one of the most common complaints in the fish keeping hobby, something I've never had a problem with. And I'm married to somebody who's one of those weirdos that wants it and loves duckweed. I think it's cute. Little teeny 4-leaf clovers they look like. But I think it's cute because I've never had a problem with it. It's almost like I can sit here and tell you, blackbeard algae is no big deal, because I don't have any tanks that have blackbeard algae. So it's kind of disingenuous for me to say that, I guess would be the way to do it. Let me get through some of these here because it's getting out of control. You people are so generous here. Where did I start off? Stephen Plensky, I'm probably not saying it right. Happy birthday, John. Mine's tomorrow. Good time for birthdays. You ain't lying about the age starting with a 4 and things falling apart. I'm telling you, and I've got friends that were at that age, and I was like, you just wait. As soon as it switches from a 3 to a 4, things are going to start falling apart. You might even wake up on your 40th birthday limping. And they're like, whatever. But then you talk to them a little while later, and they're like, yeah, dude, I've had nothing but pain ever since 40. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but if you are in your 30s, start taking care of yourself now. Because you're going to blink your eyes, you're going to be over 40, and you're going to be falling apart like me. I'm fine. It's not like I need to go to the hospital, but I've always got something that's in pain. Right now, it's my knees. It's no fun. Fish Tank Barn, happy birthday, John. I feel you, brother. I feel every old fall and sports injury. Yes. I was a skateboarder when I was a teenager. I broke bones. I sprained ankles. I rolled ankles. I did a lot of damage to my back and to my knees, and probably the equal amount of damage somebody would do if they were playing football all through their teenage years. I mean, it's just what we would call gnarly back in the day. My knees are all a mess, and it's all from skateboarding and being 40 pounds overweight. Samantha Price, try none to run. It's better on your body than C to 5K. I don't know if anything would be better because it's just knees. I did do one thing though. I bought a new pair of shoes, and I bought them for Aquashella, and they're wonderful. They're super comfortable, but the knee pain really started after those shoes. So I might have to go back to the old shoes. I don't know. It's so frustrating. Talk about frustrations. Catwoman VA, happy birthday. Sorry I can't stick around. I'm at Busch Gardens right now, and we'll have to watch the replay later. Love you guys. Well, you probably didn't get to hear me thank you for that, Catwoman. Selena Kyle herself. Sorry about that, but thank you so much. Maybe you're watching this on replay. HEPA Aquatics, John, I had a piece tied to a flat stone since January 2. The stones, took the stones off 2 weeks ago, and it floated. Happy birthday. Yeah. Here's the bright side. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't show very well on camera because I don't know. And I also have my screen dimmed a little bit, so it might not look as bad for you as it does for me. I have to do that, otherwise you're going to see the tank in the reflection. But when I'm sitting here looking at it right now, it looks really good. It actually looks really cool that the the wood is floating, but I don't want it to float. It's really frustrating. I hope it's not 7 months later still floating for me. Shannon Danley, I hope I'm saying that right. Happy birthday, love the channel. Thank you so much for that. Matthew Nahani, maybe? Happy birthday, John. Haven't made a live chat in a while. Glad to see you and Lisa have finally tied the knot. Congrats on that again. Happy birthday. Yeah, thank you so much. I am well aware of how lucky I am. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you so much. So much love here tonight. You just got to love that. That is one of the things that I've tried to comment on quite a bit that I experienced at Aquashella. And I know I sound like a hippie from Woodstock, but the love was incredible. And I can't explain it. It just, whether it was with the other YouTubers that were there, the camaraderie, the brotherhood, the fellowship, whatever you want to call it, was at another level at that event. And it's probably because we all just missed each other so much. But yeah, that was an amazing thing. And it hasn't stopped. Here it is, my birthday, and y'all are just being so amazing to me. Thank you all so much for that. By the way, I cannot give out any information because I would get in big fat trouble, but I am actually part of a group that is organizing some of the things for Aquashella, Chicago, and Dallas. And let me just tell you, there's going to be some really cool things that are going to be happening. Some of them, I was surprised because I was like, we're doing this in Chicago? That's like 7 weeks away. And they were like, yep. So if you're on the fence, folks, I don't know how things are in Chicago. Talk with my buddy Jason from Primetime. He lives there, and he said it's not a problem. Talked with George Mavrakis from Coralfish 12G, owner of Aquashella, also lives in the Chicago area. And I asked him, what's it like out there right now as far as the pandemic and all of that? And he said, oh, it's good to go. It's wide open. We're good. All right, cool. I knew that about Florida. I mean, I knew Florida was wide open. It had been for quite some time. I think Chicago has been a little behind as far as opening things up. If it's anything like Orlando was, you're going to want to be there. And the new things that are being planned are absolute game-changing, next-level things. It's going to be so much fun. You got to get there. I mean, if you're within a few hours of the Chicago area, you got to get there. I'm traveling from halfway across the country to get there, folks. If I can do that, you can travel a few hours to get there. It's going to be a blast. Multi-Tank Addiction, Xanadu, both pooped on me, not us, me, just me, along with Jeff H. And then Jeff H. also gave a nice little birthday cake emoji along with Michelle Kinsey. All of this beautiful stuff. Thank you all so much. Tesla Killdozer, still love that name. Happy birthday, John. I hope you have an awesome day. It's incredibly awesome. I am very, very fortunate. I feel like a lucky guy right now. Melissa Jeswald, I realized a huge problem, electricity and not enough outlets. I have extension cords everywhere. Yes, thank you. That's a problem for almost every fish keeper that has multiple tanks. And let's face it, that's what we all do. We get an aquarium. In fact, my sister Debbie, if she's still here, we've been talking for a while now. I think it was around Christmas time. We were talking about going down there and setting up a tank for her. It probably wouldn't just stop there. We all start with one. We get that bug. We go crazy and we start adding tanks. And even in here, now in this garage, I've got, how many tanks do I have? 5 tanks. I've got my modeling set up over there. I've got all these studio lights. I've got an air conditioning unit that's on the floor attached to the window. I've got my computer, printer, PlayStation, TV up on the ceiling. You can see the corner of it right there. We've got a lot of stuff in here. We had to add power in here, like 12 outlets we had to add in here because this garage had exactly 2 when we moved in. And that still isn't enough. I've got a lot of stuff that's plugged into power strips and all of that. It's a huge frustration. That is one thing that I would really like to do, whatever happens, as far as if we move our business somewhere and we move all of this somewhere, but we stay living here, whatever it is that we end up doing, I'm going to need like an outlet every 16 inches in the next place. Because I agree, Melissa, I am so tired of having outlets everywhere. I feel like my fish room is always the plug on A Christmas Story, and it was the same for Christmas Vacation. You get that outlet and there's a million plugs plugged into it. That's what I feel like, and that scares me because not only me, but the woman I'm married to, we both have a fear of fire, and don't we all? Has there ever been somebody that's like, you know what, I think it'd be really cool for my house to catch on fire? I don't think anybody looks forward to that. We're all scared of that, and we're all using equipment that demands a lot of power. The frustrating thing, and I've experienced this in other houses before, is you have enough outlets, but there's so much plugged into that particular circuit that you're always tripping breakers. Like every time the heater in your big tank turns on, you trip breakers. That's super frustrating too. So yeah, I totally get that. I could talk about that all night long. Power is frustrating. Power and water. It's another thing. Maybe I should do a stream next week and just talk about the dream fish room for me. Have I done that before? I feel like I have. Maybe we'll talk about that next week. I would love to just go through all of the things that I'd like to do to make what I believe could be the perfect fish room. Maybe we'll talk about that next week. Waka Klaka might be a candidate for the coolest name on YouTube right there. I just got back into fish recently, as it's been since I was 12. Everything I've learned / relearned about cycling, cleaning, cichlids, do's, don'ts, I've learned from your videos. Thank you. Wow. I cannot tell you how happy I am to hear that. That's, again, I know it sounds cheesy. I know I sound like Bill Murray in Zombieland. That's why we do it. But it truly is. That's why we do what we do. And we're just very fortunate that we actually get paid to do it, which is amazing. And I don't mean you paying a super chat. I mean, YouTube pays us. It's like, what world is this? That this is really a thing. Fantastic Freaks became a member and then also super chatted, happy birthday. Love what you and Lisa do on YouTube as well as for the hobby. Thinking of putting Oscars in a 125-gallon tank. Any advice? Yes, do it. Stop thinking about it. Just do it. I had a talk with somebody the other day. I'm not going to say who it was, another YouTuber that kept telling me, I just got to do this. I just got to do that. And I said, stop saying I just got to, just do it. And I actually added a very colorful word that I will not do on a live stream, but you just got to do it, because Oscars, look at these fish behind me that are not in camera right now. They're amazing fish. They're a lot of fun. They are water dogs. They are slobs. That tank is dirty. And it's one of the downsides to not having substrate in there, is that it just goes everywhere. And now with two big giant bikers in there that poop Tootsie Rolls and a big pleco in there, a lot of gnarliness going on in the bottom of that tank. But Oscars, there's a reason why I made a shirt saying, if you don't like Oscars, you can go, you know what, yourself. Debbie, if you're still watching, I didn't put the word on there. I censored it out. But it's my big sister. She's going to yell at me if I say things like that. That's her job. That's what big sisters do. But there's a reason why I love Oscars so much that I made shirts that we got 350 of them made and sold, every single one of them. Thank you all very much for that. I love them so much. And your hobby is going to change if you get them. And my advice too would be, if you're going to have multiples, buy them all at the same time, and don't be afraid to buy them small. If you go back it was on August 24th of 2019, but I don't remember when we did the video. Whatever the weekend was after August 24th of 2019 is when we revealed the Oscars in here. And they were like this big. And even then, I had people that would say, I mean, if you got 360 gallons, why are you getting these little tiny fish? Why? Because look at them now. You can't see them now because they're not even on camera. I got that guy. He was big when I got him. But the other two, oh, there he is. You can't see him. Anyway, they're huge now. And I've been able to watch that whole process. And yeah, when you put Oscars that are this big in an 8 foot by 3 foot by 2 foot tank, they do look a little small and it looks a little bit silly. But just blink your eyes or snap your fingers, and next thing you know, you got that. And that's a beautiful thing. Game changer. Do it. Like Shia LaBeouf says, just do it. I don't know what he was saying that about, but anyway. Mary Paige Flynn, happy birthday and hello, everyone. Thank you so much for that. Y'all have just been too generous. I can't believe this has happened. I'm going to need to go through the chat, and I'm going to need to find people talking about things that are frustrating to them because I'm all caught up. I don't think that's ever happened. It's 9:11. Oh, that's not a good time. But it's 9 hours and 11 minutes p.m. I still got 19 minutes of show left, and I'm all caught up. I don't even know. That's one of my favorite things, watching them grow. Yes, absolutely. I need to find frustrations. I need to find one. I'm desperate here. This is my least favorite thing to see people do while I'm watching live streams. And I am guilty of doing it right now as we speak. And that is, yeah, okay. I see the word, so I'm going to go with this one. Most frustrating thing about aquariums, living in an apartment where I can only have a 20-gallon tank and I work at a fish store. Wow, that's like, yeah, that's like in your face, nanny boo boo kind of stuff right there. Yeah, that's frustrating. And you know what? Demonic Sippy, interesting name. It kind of goes along with what I was talking about earlier. Now, you may not have been here for that. I spent quite a bit of time talking about the frustrations of being a renter with aquariums, especially a renter with a lot of aquariums. 120. Your issue is that you're limited to how many you can have because you are a rental, and I get that. It is equally as frustrating if you can have as many as you want and you're still renting. It is frustrating. I came at it from kind of a different angle, though, so it might be interesting to you. You might want to go back. You don't have to wait till it uploads. You can literally go back in time right now and watch what I was talking about 45 minutes ago. And I was talking about that exact issue. Somebody said, just do it, Shia LaBeouf. I've never heard him say his name. I would really love to know the exact pronunciation of his name because I've always said LaBeouf, but I see people say LaBeouf. I've seen people say weird things. I don't care what anybody says. I like that guy as an actor. Have you seen Lawless? Come on. I mean, you're going to want to talk about Transformers and all this stuff. Watch Lawless. He is great in that movie. He's been great in every dramatic role I've ever seen him in. He's very good. I don't care if he's a weirdo. A lot of people in Hollywood are weirdos. Haven't had a fish in over 15 years, now just relearning things. Welcome back. Don't yell at me. Don't yell at me for having a McDonald's cup. It's my birthday. And I didn't even get this. This was from our 17-year-old. He doesn't drink Coke, so he said, you can have mine. Isn't that sweet? Anyway. Okay, let me find another one because this is it. Is it weird to say it's fun talking about what frustrates people? I don't know if that's right. Fantastic Freak says, thanks for the advice. Stay fantastic. I will do my best. Thank you. Pop quiz. Who am I and where am I from? You're from Texas, but I don't know your name. Aren't you from Texas? I don't remember you. Come on. Do you expect me to remember everyone's name? It ain't going to happen. One King 24. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. LSPDFR. I don't know what that means, but that's very cool. Frustrates me the most that all of my pet stores neglect their fish. Dirty tanks, dead fish, low water, no filter on. I looked for balloon mollies today and I just left because how bad the tanks looked. Happy birthday, love you. Thank you. That, unfortunately, I'm with you. But that has been, that's never not been a problem. I've seen stores, in fact, I went into a store 10 years ago. This store was the most magnificent store I've ever been to in my life. When I say that this store was immaculate, it's actually insulting to say that this store was immaculate. I've never seen anything like it. It was set up almost like a public aquarium. This guy had like, what would you call it? Like statues, but they weren't like the statue of David. You know, they were like hollow, figures of like full-size sharks, and all of this amazing lighting, and all of the tanks they looked like they just got filled up with water for the first time. Not a speck of anything in there. Fish, perfect. That store was open for about 6 months. It was devastating. And the thing is, I feel like the reason why it didn't last long is because the guy put way too much money into setting it up. So the point that I'm trying to make is what a lot of fish stores are people that just assemble everything that they have. That's what we did. You know, buying tanks used, secondhand, all this kind of stuff. They throw them all into a store. They fill them all up with water, put fish in them, and they're in business. And it's a hard business to be in. You get it set up as nice as you can. Then you have to take care of it. You have to help customers. You have to do inventory. You have to do all of the things that have to be done at a fish store. It gets overwhelming and things get out of control. And it's unfortunate. I'm not making excuses for people. All I'm saying is I've lived it. I know what it's like, and it's very, very hard. So I kind of look at it from a different angle when I see that kind of stuff. I'm upset about it, and I'm sad about it, but I kind of understand how it happens. I hope that makes sense. I don't know. Again, I'm not justifying it. Particularly the big box stores that have like 12 employees running around. It's like, how could this be this way? Those, there's no excuse for it. But the mom and pop stores that, you know, you have the owner and maybe 1 or 2 employees, I understand how it gets that way. And this is why my respect level is at its absolute highest when I see stores like Aquarium Co-op, like Nova Tropicals up in Northern Virginia, Schools of Fish. None of those stores are perfect, but they're about as perfect as a fish store can be, if that makes sense. Because I don't think perfect is even possible in a fish store. Because it costs way too much money, requires way too much manpower. So when I see stores like that, my respect level is at its peak. Anyway, I love KG's name is Joseph. Joseph, I can promise you one thing. If you were to ask me that again next week, probably will not remember. I'm 47 now. When I said after 40, everything starts falling apart, well, the brain does too. I woke up this morning and forgot it was my own birthday. So, no, I didn't. I'm just being funny. Talk about people forgetting their own birthday. Chattanooga Ed. Happy birthday, John. You look great for 57. Yeah, I'm doing it, Ed. I know you're getting ready for your stream. You're probably not watching anymore, but I'm doing it. I'm going to tell this story for the second week in a row, because I told this last week. You probably didn't see that either, because again, you're preoccupied getting ready for your stream. Ed and I were walking It was him and I, and James was with us. I think Lisa had already gone to bed. I don't know who else was with us. Jason might have been there. Yeah, because that was the night. It was Zenzo, Jason, me, James, and Ed. We're walking up, and I asked Ed, how old are you? And he said, I'm 57. I'm 56. I'm going to be 57. And I was like, wow, Ed, good for you. You look great. 57. I'm happy for you. And no sooner did those words come out of my mouth did he do hand to forehead. No, not 50. I'm going to be 47. He aged himself by 10 years. Like I said, Ed's over the age of 42. When you're over 40, it just starts to go. Everything starts to go. Which is why I'm shocked I got married at 46. Because it's like I figured that was going to go too. Because nothing works. I shouldn't have said that. That got weird. But anyway, I love KFG. Again, you have to remember I love KFG. KG as KG Tropicals in it. Well, yeah, I remember you. But I'm never going to remember your name because I'm just bad at that. I'm not being a jerk. It's just, I have a hard time remembering things. You got to realize there's 400 people in here right now and everybody's chatting and everybody's doing all of that. And it's hard to remember everybody. I do my best. But Rico Stan says, your beard really ties the room together. Have a white Russian on me. Thank you. My beard is nowhere near as glorious as yours, but yeah, that's a compliment from a man that is really, really high on his beard game for sure. Ed did get to see me tell that story. I'm glad. Debbie, you don't need to tell everybody how old you are. And let me tell you something, woman. Every woman that sees you is like, I hope I look that daggone good at 57. And I'm not telling you that because you're my sister. I'm telling you that because that's real. It's true, folks. Good genetics, I guess. I don't know. But it passed me. Well, it didn't pass me because I'm younger than her. But anyway, I'm the baby of the family. She is the first. I was going to say the most senior, but that would have really gotten me in trouble. Debbie was the first, and then I've got another sister and a brother, and then me. I was the baby. And there's 10 years between us. But to see us standing next to each other, you would think we're the same age. And I'm not kidding you. Is that a big... Oh. See, Rico Stan, I'm embarrassed now. Because of how much I say your avatar reminds me of Big Lebowski. I should have been able to put that together, but I did not. And I'm ashamed of that. Okay. We got 7 minutes left. Free for all. We can talk about whatever. The super chats are all done, and it's perfect because Wraith comes in here and says, matriarch. That's a good word there. I like that. Thank you, Debbie. Frustrating when the fish have white spots on them and you treat with IC-X and General Cure, but it keeps coming back and you can't figure out what's going on. I'm dealing with that right now. I can certainly imagine that would be frustrating. Of course, the very first thing that pops out to me, Wraith, is temperature. Are you keeping the water too cold? Because temperature and stress are going to be the two main causes of ick every single time. So, I mean, it could be that you just have those fish. What is that called when people are sick all the time? I was about to call it something that I know doesn't mean that. It means something completely different. What is that called? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. The people that are always sick, you might have fish that are that way. I don't know. I hope that's not the case. But it's kind of like I always have algae in my tank and I can never get rid of it. Well, instead of getting rid of it, let's talk about what's happening that's causing it. And let's try to prevent it from happening to begin with. And it seems to me like if you're constantly battling ick, then maybe there's something going on that is constantly facilitating ick. It's right below 80. See, that's frustrating. Yeah, that would be frustrating to me. The only other thing that I could suggest is that hypochondriac. Thank you. That's the one I was looking for, Melissa Jeswald. I knew I could rely on you. The first thing I always look at is temperature. The next thing I always look at is stress. Now, this is one of those things, it is frustrating, but you almost have to think of it like the common cold. We have 5 kids. They don't all live here anymore. But when we did have all of them, there'd be 7 people in our house. And, oh, the nightmares if there was like a stomach flu. Or if there was a stomach flu, I'd be out because I don't want to have anything to do with that. I ain't getting it. But even like a common cold, one person gets it, what's it going to do? It's going to work its way through the entire house. And you're basically all going to be miserable for a while until the last person finally gets rid of it. But depending on how it's all transmitted amongst family members, you might have the last person is just getting over it and the first one gets it again, and it works its way around and around and around and around. Super frustrating. And it certainly could be something like that where you're not necessarily getting it gone completely and it comes back because it's just working its way around. What I would do, maybe, I'm not accusing you of anything, I'm trying to help you out here. Maybe you're not treating for long enough. How many times, I know I've done it probably every time, have you been prescribed an antibiotic from the doctor and you stop taking them when you feel better, even though the doctor told you take the entire bottle? Not at once, but you know what I mean. Take it twice a day until they're all gone. I don't think I've ever done that in my entire life. And maybe there's something like that going on where you're treating and you're thinking it's gone, but you really needed to treat for 3 or 4 more days and then do your water changes and do all of that to get rid of all of that stuff. And then you'll be good to go. Maybe something like that could be going on. I don't know. It's hard. Let's see. Dadgummit, John, I thought it was taken care of last week, but no notification again this week. That's so frustrating. You have been talking about that almost every week. Listen, Whips World, here's what needs to happen. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this. You just need to remember to come here at 8 o'clock on Thursday nights. That's what you need to do. You need to be your own notification. Set it on your Google clock. I want to see you at 8:01 next week because this is getting ridiculous. Every week this is happening. Set up your own notification. Okay, here's what you do. My phone's going to do it too. Whips World, Zach Wild, here's what I want you to do. I want you to put your phone up to, maybe you're watching this on your phone. I don't know. I'm going to help you out. Ready? Hey Siri, set a reminder for next Thursday at 8 p.m. Got it. You're all set now. Maybe you're not on Apple, and if that's the case, then I'm sorry. But the funny thing is, 372 people are going to get that notification. No, because you're not all Apple users, but that's kind of clever, don't you think? Hey Siri, don't forget to watch KG Tropicals next week. Maybe I should do that. Anyway. Yeah. Your reminder is set for Sunday. Anyway, 9:29, I am going to go ahead and end things on time for the first time in probably 6 months. If he wasn't in the Eastern time zone, then yeah, I definitely messed him up there. Maybe he, I don't know. You got to admit that's pretty funny though. I mean, there's going to be a lot of Apple users next week that are going to get a notification at 8 o'clock and they're going to be like, what's this? If we have the biggest attendance for our stream next week than we've ever had, I'm going to be talking to your phone every week. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for making my birthday a special thing. Everybody in my life has made my birthday a special thing today. This has been so much fun. I can't believe I did that. And I am so grateful to Zen Ginger. Wow. Rhiannon Aitken again, and I am ashamed of myself. Just wanted to take a minute to acknowledge how much the channel has grown and the huge increase in quality of content over the last couple of years. Wow. Thank you so much for that. That's been the goal. And oh, yeah, real quick, One King 24 became a member and Whips World pooped on us. Thank you all for that. Rhiannon, I am terribly sorry for forgetting that. I remember making a note of it in my brain to go back to that, and shame on me. I missed it, and I feel terrible about that. But I've tried very hard to increase my skills with editing and to increase my lighting and audio and all of the stuff to make videos better. And for you to recognize that is a really big deal and one of the best birthday presents I've gotten all day. So thank you so much to thank all of you. This has been a lot of fun. I've not taken one single second break in the last hour and a half because I've been having so much fun with all of you. Thank you for my sister hanging out the whole time. Thank you to all of the mods for helping out Whips World. There you go with the kitty. Thank you again. Thanks to everyone. I mean, this has been a lot of fun, and I could just keep saying thank you over and over and over again, or I could let you move on and go over to Fish Room Fever. Here's what you got to do. Go over to Fish Room Fever's live stream after us and put in there hashtag Happy Birthday John. Is that just too narcissistic of me? I don't know. I think it's fun. It's last second and I'm thinking about it. So let's all go over there and do that. I'll be over there in a little bit. I got to give it'll be a little bit, but I'll be over there. Thank you all so much for hanging out. Bye.